I woke up at 5 to 6. Thought, plenty of time, bit more kip, because I was working all day yesterday. Back to sleep. Slept in till 10 to 8. It's not good, is it? To be honest. So, bear with me, just getting organised. Different view of the workshop because half the garage is still full of bikes that can't be shown on the channel, so can't really sit where I normally sit, but hey, makes it a bit different, doesn't it? We've got lots to talk about. Let me just get logged in and get everything working properly, and then we can begin. We've got a viewer. Who have we got? 5 viewers, in fact. Holy moly. Right. So yeah, things that if you can you see the charger? No, the charger's out of shot. It's good. Everything's a bit ad hoc this morning. It's ad hoc this morning. Morning, Jim. First one on board. Merry Christmas, mate. Good to have you around. Now, got it. Got to think now. Jeez. Have we got internet? We have got internet. Right. Let's get that fired up then. Dum 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 dum. So, as per the title, who else worked over the holidays? Honestly, normally it's just like, I've had enough of Christmas now, I'm going to go out in the shed and play. This Christmas, it wasn't the case at all. It was like, holy crap, I've got all this to get done. I need to be out in the workshop. And I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest. It's different. It's very different when it's your own, you know, you voluntarily go out to go and play and just tinker and do bits and pieces and things. But when you've actually got to go out and do a job and you've got a deadline, it feels very, very different, unfortunately. But we got, come on laptop, we got everything done. The ROV is fully repaired and serviced. And I was going to deliver it this afternoon, but in all honesty, I'm so far behind with editing up videos of that weekend that I filmed with Tool Girl Holly that I'm going to push that back till tomorrow. It'll get delivered back to Bethel's Beach Surf Club tomorrow at some point, probably around about lunchtime. And then I've got a Viking 6 suspected rear wheel bearing. Well, in fact, not suspected. I know it is because I jacked it up and checked it. So I've got that to do. Right, just bear with me. I'm a bit slow. Blokes can't really multitask very well, can we? And do things at once. So here we go. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. I can see comments and stuff properly. Here we go. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. I can see comments and stuff. Useless. Right. So let's start from the top. Do as we mean to go on. That's what I meant to say. Jim K. Hello, Andy. Good morning again, Jim. And again, seeing as I'm talking to you right now, thanks again for all your support this year. It really, really, well, it's much appreciated. It is. And I found it very surprising, to be honest, but, you know, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Killswitch BB, happy Crimbo Andy. Good morning, Killswitch. And Merry Christmas to you too. One thing that we didn't do this year, which I was a bit surprised about, although I think the last time we did it, it took a bit of time to get going, was about 50 of the, well, normally between 40 and 50 of the automotive YouTube channels. We all get together and do a little 30-second snippet, and it all gets edited up, and then we all get sent the final file, and then we all put it up on our channels, not monetized, by the way. And then at the same time, we all release them. And it's a way of, you know, getting viewers of your channel to experience other YouTube channels that are, you know, have got a similar genre as yours, you know. It didn't happen this year. Keith from New Level Auto normally organises it, but I think he's been a bit busy this year, as we all have. It's been a bit different. So if you're looking forward to that video, my apologies. None of us had the time to do it. And unfortunately, somebody does draw the short straw to edit the whole thing together, which I think was Keith again last year. So, and I didn't do my own separate video, thinking that might still happen. It was a bit last minute last year. So apologies, there hasn't been a Christmas special this year, but in all honesty, it hasn't really been a very special year, has it? So maybe we'll do something super special next year, hopefully. Mike Bazansky, happy holidays, Andy. Happy holidays to you, Mike. Oh, a new one. Murrow Sind. Hello. Well, Murrow, welcome to Andy's workshop. Wolf Party. That sounds dodgy. Wolf Party, hello. Well, good morning, Wolf Party. Oh, geez. Regine Robichard. Maybe that's right. Greetings from Canada, mate. Wow. Is that FR? Is that from Canada or is it like a French Canada? I don't know. You have to clarify that for me. Gary Garnett, Merry Christmas. It's too bloody late. It's almost midnight. Sorry, mate. My fault. Moro Sind, I shoveled too much over the holidays. Snow? Probably. Ordain Barnett, greetings from Jamaica. Well, it's definitely not snowing in Jamaica, that's for sure. Although they do have a bobsleigh team, don't they? If you've seen the movie, it's very good. Jim K, you are not alone. I was at work also. Jim, it's a special kind of breed, isn't it? I don't know why we do it. And I was thinking about this the other day, actually, because I like to go off on little tangents from all your comments. But in fact, it was yesterday when I was working on the ROV, getting it all serviced up. I was thinking, would I be a mechanic if I could start all over again? I mean, don't get me wrong, I do thoroughly enjoy it, but I don't know. If I was an accountant, you wouldn't just go out into your office and do accounting for fun. If I was a marketing person, maybe you wouldn't go and do marketing stuff for fun. But being a mechanic, well, I do, you've got the jobs to do, and then you've got the things that bring you enjoyment, which is your own little projects and stuff. So you end up doing that as well. So you're pretty much always on the tools doing bits and pieces. And Ben came down for the last couple of days, and he was busy, went off mountain bike riding with Mrs. Mechanic, and they had a great time. I could have gone with them, but I had a job to do because I'm a mechanic and because I'd taken on the work. Didn't want to say no. I didn't want to let the customer down. It's one of the surf club ROVs, and it's one that didn't get serviced before I went down to the South Island. I made them a promise. Don't worry, I'll get it done as soon as I get back. As soon as I got back, picked it up. As soon as I could get it done, I got it done. Just happened to be Christmas Day and Boxing Day for us. Because today is Sunday, obviously, here in New Zealand, and it's not really anything. We get tomorrow off as well because Boxing Day happened on a Saturday. But no, we digress again. Would I have a lot more free time if I wasn't a mechanic? Simple answer, hell yes, of course I would. So would I be a mechanic again? I don't know. If I was to decide to be a mechanic again for the life, so to speak, I'd have to set myself some pretty strict rules and stick to them. And I know some mechanics do that. Once they finish at 5 o'clock, they're off the tools until the next day. It's as simple as that. And I think for a few years, when I was teaching and stuff, it was very different. I had a lot more free time, so I could get my videos done and I could do my own little projects, but still have some free time as well. Whereas now, the last 3.5 years in this current job that I have, free time is just pretty much non-existent. It just doesn't happen. You're trying to steal the odd hour here and there to get your own stuff done. Makes it very difficult. Anyway, I ramble on. Your thoughts on that would be good to know. Would if you've been working the tools all your life, would you do anything differently? Would you try something else? Because you do think about it sometimes, I'm sure. Where do we get to? Too much snow, Jamaica, Jim working as well. Simon, sorry, Simon. Just a quick hi. As being Boxing Day, I'm seeing family, and I've been able to see. I'm able to see them since September. Yeah. Hope you had a good Christmas. See you next week's live. You will, Simon. There is also going to be, I think, this is the plan. I'm going to do a live stream on New Year's Eve. Now, it'll be my New Year's Eve, and it won't be the Eve because obviously I'll be busy celebrating, and I don't like to go on camera after too much alcohol, obviously. It'll be my afternoon, so probably, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, New Zealand time, on New Year's Eve. A short video, not one of these rambly ones, where we do the draw. I actually draw the winner for the Teng Tools Forge and Andy Mechanic gear. If you remember, for the last few months, if you've gone on to Zazzle and you bought in, by the way, you can't get these anymore. No, Honda got very upset, to be honest. They don't like me using their little, even though they're like 30 years old or something stupid, they didn't like me using their little drawings. Got very upset by that. But Zazzle also said that, hey, you know, you haven't got the rights to use the Forge logo. You haven't got the rights to use YouTube logo, the Teng Tools. Well, actually, I have. But they just wouldn't listen to me. I don't know what was going on there. Somebody just got really upset. So doesn't matter. It's all good. There's still some stuff on there that I think you can still buy Tool Girl mugs. But anyway, we digress again. If you've bought one of these or any other of the Andy Mechanic merch and you've sent through via email or whatever your selfie with your chosen piece of Andy Mechanic merchandise, then you went into a draw to win a big bunch of stuff. And believe me, it is quite a lot of gear, to be honest. I'm not going to price it all up, but it's going to take quite a large box to get all this lot packed. So on that video, we're going to go through everything that forms part of the pack. I'm going to have a rake around, find some knobby stuff and other bits and pieces as well, and chuck it all in there. And maybe a couple of things from around the workshop which are unique. You know, maybe not new, just something that I've had for a very long time that's maybe appeared in videos, you know, in the background, or maybe we've used it at some point. And then you've got that piece of sort of memorabilia, which nobody else can have. It's a unique thing that I'm giving to you. I've no idea what it'll be yet. We'll have a look round. So that draw will be held on New Year's Eve, which is obviously New Zealand's New Year's Eve. Sometime between 2 and 4 o'clock. Tell you what, let's say 3 o'clock, and then we all know when it is. 3 p.m. New Zealand time, New Year's Eve. Need to remember that. And then that way we'll do the draw. I'll put all the names in a hat, and we'll pick somebody out. And then you can contact me with it on email, or I'll have to dig through my notes, my emails and stuff to find their address, because obviously I've got to post stuff out. But that's when it's going to happen. It's going to be great. So obviously I can't post it out straight away because I've got to get a jacket made up. And obviously the factory that makes those jackets is closed until probably middle of January. But when they are open, once I've got your size, the winner's size, I can get it made up and include that in the pack as well. So it's going to be quite a sizable thing to send out, to be fair. Anyway, there you go. So 3 p.m. New Year's Eve. Andy rambles on so much. I am really tired, actually. So Simon, have a great time with your family. Muller Volker, good day from cold Hamburg. Wow. Now then, who else have we got? Jim Haynes. Got my freebie work done already. Had to fix. Hey, that's weird. My mouse was moving around all on its own. It was like somebody else was controlling it. What the hell? Sorry, Jim Haynes. Got my freebie work done already. Had to fix four-wheel drive on a GMC Yukon. Had a bad wire connection. Well done, Jim. Found the problem. Muller Volker. Germany. Deutschland. Okay. Gary Garnett. Yes, it's been. I've been working on projects at home. 1987 Honda CR250R and a Sea-Doo jet ski electrical issue to fix. We all just like to keep busy. I think we just like the challenges. I think when it's servicing work, gets a bit boring. But when there's a bit of a challenge and you've got to find a fault and diagnose something, then it becomes a bit more of a challenge. That's how I see it anyway. Off-road fan. Good evening, Andy. Good evening, morning, off-road fan. Mike Bazanski. What did the missus fix for Christmas dinner? Well, we almost just had a chicken. No, just like basically a regular sort of chicken meal. But like I said, Ben came down. We knew Ben was coming down, so I said, look, here's some extra money. Go shopping and fill up the fridge and get us a turkey. So she did, and it was a very nice turkey. And she did all the trimmings and roast vegetables and parsnips and carrots and potatoes and it was just great. It wasn't a massive banquet, don't get me wrong, and I really, it's too frigging hot here in New Zealand for that kind of stuff. But it was a pleasant meal. I enjoyed it, and then we watched a couple of movies later on, and yeah, it was just a nice sort of chill out day. But I did get summons to go in the house around about 3:30 on Christmas Eve. Was it Christmas Day? Honestly, so I couldn't do a full day in the workshop, but that's fine. I was looking forward to just putting the tools down. So nearly 2 full days work. I got finished about 7 o'clock last night, which wasn't too bad, but it was a good meal. Now then, Moro Sind, yeah, shoveling snow. I'm in Pennsylvania mountains. 2 blizzards for us here, back to back. So work over the holidays. Jeez. Jim K, Andy, did you get any phone calls this past week? I did. Jim, my phone rang. I went to answer it, and there was nothing. There was nobody there. Was that you? Try again. I'll have to look back on my missed calls again, won't I, and get your number. Driveshaft Drew, Andy Mechanic, happy holidays. Cheers, Driveshaft Drew. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Driveshaft Drew, hello all. Killswitch, oh, message active. Oh, message held for review. Oh, here we go. Look, Driveshaft Drew. Everyone, I can show that. That's fine. Right. Oh, error. Try again. What the hell? Show. I'll just read it out. It won't show it. Everyone here, thumbs up. Share this live show. It helps Andy out. Let's start the coming year with a bang. Thumbs up. Share everyone's work, please. I'll try once more for you, Driveshaft Drew. No, it doesn't want to show your message for some reason. It just says error, try again. Okay, I think we've caught up. Right. Yeah, what else? Well, we've got lots of stuff to do. So we got, Mrs. Mechanic got me a couple of things for Christmas. We were talking about sort of home Christmas stuff first. I thought this was great. I'm going to take the cover off because it glares a lot on the camera. So I've learnt from previous ones of these. And they've got to come out of the cover anyway, so I think we should all have one of these and stick to it. Tool rules. Can't read backwards. Don't touch them, don't borrow them, don't move them, and don't ever look at them. I was going to put at the bottom Ben, because he's always borrowing me tools and never putting them back. I thought that was very nice, actually. I thought it was pretty cool. It's definitely going to go up in the workshop somewhere if I can find a bit of wall somewhere to squeeze it on. So thank you, Mrs. Mechanic, for that one. She does struggle to buy for me, to be honest, because I'm not saying I have everything, because I haven't, but I just sort of do with what I have, really. Apart from tools, obviously. Got to buy more tools. And then there was this one, which I thought was even better, which is dependable service. Spark plugs. There you go, look. Mechanic on duty. 32 cents, all brands, very nice. I do like these old style images, very good. I think marketing back then was a lot more fun, wasn't it? There's way too much in the way these days. You know what I mean. Right. Driveshaft Drew, great rules. I believe so too. What else to show you? Well, I went to Teng Tools, ISL Industrial, at East Tamaki. In fact, I met Brandon at the pub, believe it or not. Brandon, I'm sorry if your boss didn't know you were at the pub. Maybe you were in a meeting, but you were in a meeting as well. So we had a bit to eat and a bit of a chat and a bit of a catch up. We like to do that once a year because we're both very, very busy and we both travel all over New Zealand all the time. So trying to be in the same place at the same time to have a catch up is extremely difficult for both of us because usually one of us is away out of Auckland, but around Christmas time we can do it because he's in his office getting finished off for the year, and I'm doing the same thing up in Auckland as well. So he gave me a lot of stuff to put in the prize pack, and there's a couple of bags. There's this one here. This is like a rucksack type bag. Teng Tools, obviously it's got the embroidered logo on it. It's very smart, must admit it. And also there is a tool bag as well. So it's pretty cool. So we've got one of those as well there, look. That's the back of it there. So that all that's going to be in the prize pack. There's a 1/4" drive socket set. There's a little Teng Tools test light, one of those in there. There's some Teng Tools wire strippers. There's a couple of caps. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff, to be honest. All sorts of stuff. So I think they've done us a great service putting all that gear in there. I'm going to have a rake around for some freebies that Nobby have sent through as well and put those in the box. Because Nobby's, they're also a supporter of the channel, which is really cool. Jim Haynes, did you get a chance to look up on any Sunday to see if you wanted to watch it when you get a chance? Jim, I haven't stopped. I absolutely haven't stopped. I've really been against the clock, and I actually got no, I'm not going to mention that. I'm not going to mention that at all because I might get in trouble with work, but yeah, I'm under the pump, to be honest. I'm being pulled in many different directions, and I only have so much time in the day, and I can't get everything done, and I don't like that. When I first started the role that I have at the moment, I was very conscientious, and I would always make sure that everything was done. I'd write a list of jobs to do, and I'd tick them all off, and I wouldn't stop until they were all done. But in the last sort of 18 months, I would say, I've just stopped writing the list because there's just too much to do. If I do write a list, it's just the really important stuff, and all the little stuff just drifts away off into the distance and never gets done. And that's not how I like to operate. I really, I find it really frustrating, to be honest. And then, you get told, well, your time management's crap. Well, it isn't. I'm not going to spend an hour planning what I'm going to do for the rest of the day because I haven't got an hour spare to do that. I have to just crack on and get as much done as I can, and do it whichever way I can to make it work. Anyway, I'm sure we're all in the same boat. Jim Haynes, were KLG or Lodge your favourite plugs back in the UK? Oh, funny. NGK, come on. I only ever buy NGK plugs. Al Elish, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and Mrs. Mechanic. Thank you very much, Al. Really appreciate that. And Merry Christmas and, a prosperous new year for you as well, mate. Appreciate it. Now, the reason, for those of you who just joined us, the reason why the view behind me is a bit different, which I suppose is quite a good thing, isn't it? Really, I should do this a bit more often, move around the workshop, is I ran a bit late this morning. To be honest, the live stream started about 2 or 3 minutes late. The workshop is still pretty much full of bikes, well, half full of bikes. I've chucked some of them outside to make a bit of room to work. But I've got a couple of things to show you. So I'm going to take you off charge. There we go, look. And we're going to flick the camera around, but I'm going to have to get you in the right place before I do that. Otherwise, I'm going to show things that I shouldn't be showing. So Mrs. Mechanic got a really nice Christmas present from Ben, and she wanted you all to see it. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Right, look at that. We were talking about e-bikes a couple of weeks ago, and this is an e-bike, and it's a Shimano, well, powered by Shimano, and it's called, where are you, look, E-Green, and she's been on it a couple of times already. Ben's changed the saddle. That's not the original saddle, that's a super comfy saddle, and it's got the Shimano. I'll be very careful with the camera. I can't show it the other way around, but I can show you the top bit though. There we go. Do a little pan. So these are getting really popular here in New Zealand. And she was out on the trail for the last couple of days. They went cycling around where we live with Ben. That's an S1 Sport. Look at that. That's the model, obviously. Very cool. And Ben was saying the number of e-bikes that they saw on the trail was just staggering. How many are out there? So she really likes it and finds it much better to ride than a standard bike. You can go up a lot bigger hills just without getting knackered, to be honest, and enjoy the ride more. She tells me she's done about 55 kilometers on it so far, and she's only had to charge it once. When she got back yesterday, it still had more than half charge. I don't even know how to work it, to be honest, so I don't know. Let's try to give it a go. Ooh, there you go, look. Shimano stops. Where's the battery? Where does it tell you the battery? I don't know. Oh, there you go. Look, range. This is what's left in it. So if you're on high power, she's got 47 kilometers of assistance left. Normal 66, so eco 94. Obviously, I'd be on high power. 47 kilometers. But I was saying to her, you know, because with this, you've actually got to pedal to get the assistance. And I was like, well, I'd much rather have like a quad bike throttle on here. Obviously, this is the gear change, but I'd like to have a throttle here where I can just feed in the power whenever I want and not have to pedal at all. So maybe I'll have to make my own. But no, very cool. Better turn it off, otherwise it'll go flat, won't it? Should get really upset. Is that going to work? That's it. It's off, I think. Yes. Cool. Well, there you go. Brilliant. Not a bad little machine. And obviously, with Ben working for a bike shop, he gets them at staff price. That was really the only way that it was feasible to buy one, in all honesty. And the other thing to look at, I suppose, is we talked about buying a lawnmower not so long ago. I can't remember if I've shown this already or not, but again, Mrs. Mechanic's been out cutting the grass and the house. It looks much nicer now in the garden. But this is what we got. Husqvarna LC419 SP. SP means super fast, I think. Sport Performance SP. Brilliant. Oh, they could have got the badge on square. What are they like? Obviously some child in some little country put that on. But yeah, not a bad machine actually, and it seems quite powerful for the job. I think it's the most powerful sort of push. Well, it is self-driven, but it's pretty cool. Anyway, enough about lawnmowers. It's not really a lawnmower channel, is it? Right, back to the bench. There we go, look. I have some more news, and we can talk about this, I think, now, because it's a current subject. Let me just plug you in first, because I don't want to flat. 98%. Okay, so for a while, I have mentioned on the channel that I'm considering buying my own ROV. I mean, I've serviced them for years and years and years, never really owned one, to be honest. But usually there's one or two in the garden that I can use for whatever I need to do for that particular weekend, whether it's moving rubbish around or emptying stuff out of the ute and putting it in the shed or moving some logs around and stuff. I just use whatever I've got here because it's a good way to test the machine and make sure the four-wheel drive's working and stuff as well. And, you know, customers want to make sure that the vehicle's working properly. So I don't really see a problem with it. I mean, I'm not putting hundreds of Ks on one. It's just maybe half a kilometre around the garden. It's not a lot. So Mrs. Mechanic said to me about a year ago, actually, she said, hey, you know, maybe we should get an ROV, you know, something that's got 4 seats, and then we can take the kids and we can all go off and do some trail driving. Because we used to have an off-road driving centre in the UK. So I've done a lot of that over the years, but I haven't done any since I came to New Zealand, really. And it'd be quite nice to get back into that kind of stuff. And what I have learned is you really need a dedicated vehicle for off-roading. You don't want to use your road-going ute, or in this case our Nissan Patrol, which is off the road anyway, because they tend to demise pretty quick, and you tend to have more mechanical problems, obviously, if you're using it off-road as well as on-road, and then it makes your vehicle less reliable when you need to get somewhere on the road. You tend to break down. You know, alternators fail, starter motors fail, you know, your wheel bearings fail because of dirt ingress, brake pads wear down quicker, universal joints on prop shafts fail a lot sooner, springs break, you name it. There's all sorts of issues that you know, come to light when you're doing the road stuff. So I always used to have a road going vehicle and an off-roader. Anyway, so we were looking at buying a model which had just come out, maybe 6 months earlier, which was, can I mention the name? Yeah, I can mention the name, I think, because it, you know, the rule is that no products can appear in the videos. All right, obviously talking about it isn't a product appearing in the video, it's audio. Appearance will be visual. So it was a Wolverine X4 we were looking at, and I nearly bought one. I was really close to buying one, and then the same manufacturer brought out a 1000cc version only recently. And Jim K, if you're still on board, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I've actually bitten the bullet. Well, I haven't. I've tentatively placed an order for a 4-seater R-Max, it's called. But the problem is, whatever I buy, I want to, you know, I'm going to end up, it's going to appear in some of my videos, because, you know, I used to do the odd video of trail rides and stuff, and I haven't been able to do that recently because my only trail bike that I've got is that particular brand, so it can't appear in videos, blah, blah, blah. So I've sort of said to my boss, Alan, I've said to Alan, look, you know, I am Yamaha through and through, have been all my life. It's the best brand for me. I stand by it 110%. Mrs. Mechanic wants me to buy an RRV. I want it to be a Yamaha, but whenever I decide to buy, has to be able to appear in the videos, because I want to go off and do trail drives and bits and pieces, and maybe interview other drivers and bits and that kind of stuff as well, you know, and what problems they're having with their vehicles. So it's going to appear, you know, ultimately, if I'm filming, even if I buy a different brand and I'm filming actually driving on the trail, there might be one of this particular brand drive across in the distance, and that's going to cause a problem to the video, isn't it? So, you know, I need now, it's been 3.5 years that I've been doing this role, just over 3.5 years actually, and I need to just realign things a little bit, because other staff that work for the same company, you know, they'll happily go onto Facebook and they'll drop a video of their kids riding a Pee-wee 50 or a TTR 125, or they're out doing the racing at the local motocross track and they're on Yamaha products, and that goes on, there's a video that goes onto Facebook or onto Instagram or whatever. So it's a social media platform, that's the bottom line. And they also obviously work for the same employer, and as do I, but I feel I'm being treated differently. And what they've asked me to do after year one was a lot more restrictive than what we originally agreed, and I don't believe that that's fair. So I need to work my way through it. So I need to talk to my boss, and we need to get something agreed in writing so we all know where we're going in the future, because at the end of the day, you know, I like Yamaha products and they're really, really good, and that's why I continue to buy them. And I think it's only fair that I should be able to at least show them on the channel. It's fine, no maintenance videos if that's what they don't want. I believe that I should be able to do whatever's in the owner's manual, so maybe a service or a daily check, you know, that kind of stuff, but no diagnostics, no in-depth repairs on the Yamahas. But we need to, you know, just get to the bottom of it, really, get it sorted out. Now then, Jim K, time management is crap. I think it is. Well, why would you sit there for half an hour planning what you're going to do when you could just get on with it? You know, I mean, sure, I mean, I suppose time management would be to create a little list, and now and again I do create a little list because there's too much bloody stuff to try and remember, but that only takes a couple of minutes, and usually I just add to the list as I go and as things come in, so it's not really a dedicated period of time. I laugh because I'm in the same boat. Everybody tells me that I plan badly, but if they lived my life, I think they would go, holy crap, it's amazing how much you fit into the time that you have. Driveshaft Drew, sweet bike. She really likes it. She really, really likes it. I mean, when e-bikes first came out, you know, I don't know, I was dubious about how reliable they were going to be, because the quality in the bicycle industry back then, especially the sort of domestic bikes, wasn't really very good. You know, when a bike came in for a service after being ridden for a year, especially in Auckland where they use them for commuting and stuff, the amount of stuff that you'd have to change that was worn out was quite high. I mean, I used to do really well on the servicing charge outs. That was, you know, I was at Bike Barn for about a year, and I more than doubled the turnover of the workshop and tripled the GP, which was great. But now I was a bit dubious. Electronics, bicycles, cheap electronics, bicycles. I mean, but saying that, they seem to not be too bad. And as long as you buy a reputable brand, part supply is sort of okay. You don't want to buy a cheap Chinese one because, you know, a year later they've stopped making that particular model. Everything's a bit different. You can't get the bits for it. You just throw it away and buy another one. That's horrible. And they're not that cheap. Even the cheaper Chinese ones are not cheap bicycles. Plus the battery packs and stuff will be crap. You will get a lot of K's out of them. Jim K, I looked into selling the e-bikes that are made by the brand that cannot appear. I've heard lots of stuff on the grapevine about e-bikes and that particular brand of e-bike. Obviously not going to discuss it on the channel. Yeah, well, in actual fact, I became aware that manufacturer made e-bikes when one turned up at Ben's workshop in his bike shop, and he needed some parts, and it had parts from that manufacturer on it which had broken or needed replacing. They wouldn't be worn out, whatever. And Ben said, hey, if I get your part number, can you order these bits? And I said, yeah, I don't see why not. But I think the customer decided not to fix it in the end because they never came through with the part numbers. But it was an interesting thing, and I went, oh, okay, well, that's good to know. And now, you know, it'd be great if they brought them to New Zealand, wouldn't it? Mobbyfix, I'm curious. Are these beautiful women who show up on all these beautiful women that show up on your videos, why? You run a modeling agency on the side? I wish, mate, honestly. No, they some of them come down because they want to, you know, work on the tools, spanners, sockets, whatever, fix bikes up, that kind of thing, learn a bit more about fixing their cars. Others do come or did come from a talent agency sort of website thing called Star Now, and I'll put an advert on there. It was all free. You place an advert saying, hey, there's a role available, and then they would, you know, make contact if they're interested. We'd do a few interviews and bits and pieces, maybe a test video, and then go from there. And it worked out. It worked really well, actually. You know, because what I tend to find normally is the girls, they would probably be around for maybe 6 months to a year. We maybe get 3 or 4 or 5 filming days done. Some stayed around a lot longer than others. It was just, you know, everybody's different. I mean, Sam was around for a very long time. She was great. Hannah, made loads of videos with Hannah. Holly's around now. I mean, she's going to be back again, I think, in at some point in February to be filming again. You know, it's a bit different now to what it was when I was up in Auckland because of logistics. When I was in Auckland, we were filming probably once every 2 to 3 weeks on a weekend, just for one day on a Saturday usually, and that gave, you know, regular videos for the channel. And I was able, at that time there was 3 or 4 different tool girls, so I could mix things up a little bit. Moving down towards Tao Pearl, it's very difficult down here logistics wise. We're down to unfortunately 1 tool girl now. Unfortunately, Tool Girl Lilli decided to focus more on her modelling side of things. So we've only got Holly left. I am always on the lookout for the potential of another tool girl at some point, and I'm sure that will happen. But at the moment, I'm very happy with Holly. She's very good on the tools, and she's great fun in the workshop too. And she just knows what she's doing, which is great. So hopefully that answers your question. One last point. The tool girls always get paid for a day's work when they're here, and they get paid very well, to be honest. You know, it's only fair because they are doing a day's work. Now then, Jim Haynes. I figure the Rise NGK probably killed off spark plug makers in England. Oh, no doubt. I don't know how good the old English ones were. I don't really have any experience of the old English spark plugs, in all honesty. The only spark plugs I have ever, well, NGK is obviously my chosen brand. Never had a lot of fun with Champion, in all honesty. But I think a lot of our lawnmowers used to have Champion spark plugs in them. Muller Volker. I built mine in 2016 myself. Changed one Hall sensor in the hub motor already. Now it's running again. I'm not sure if it's the controller or the battery or the motor again. Oh, now it's not running again. Oh, shit. Well, maybe Ben can help you. He's not, you know, trained to work on the electric, the e-bikes, but he has fixed a lot of them up, and he's got some pretty good ideas, and he runs one himself as well. So if you need any help, or if somebody within the industry that can get you some information, then flick me an email through and I'll forward it to Ben, and then he can have a look for you. Killswitch BB, been working all weekend on on Burm Scotch, and at a push a glass or two of wine. Good man. Mrs. Mechanic does keep coming in with bottles of cider and stuff for me when I'm working, and I've actually turned her away a couple of times. I can't. If I have cider, I'm not going to get the thing finished in time. The good news is it's all done. That ROV is all fixed. I put a new ignition switch in it because they'd snapped the key off in that. I put a new tail light on it because they'd smashed the tail light and reversed it into something. Honestly. And you can't... It's the fleet manager for each of these surf clubs is in a very difficult situation because they're all volunteers that help out. So if they do have an accident, and nobody's going to deliberately snap a key off, you can't really reprimand them, can you? Because they're just going to say, well, you know what, we go find somebody else. I didn't mean to do it. So they have to just suck it up. It's just the way it is, But they're very, very busy at the moment. They need, so I've got this 6-seater to do a rear wheel bearing on. The customer complaint was when they were going down the beach, it felt like it was surging. They were towing a trailer with one of those inflatable boats on it. Is it an RIB? A rib? And they were driving down the beach, and it's quite flat as their beach. It's not deep powdery sand until you get right down to the main beach. There's a bit where they drive down the side of a river, and going down there, and it's dead flat. I couldn't really feel any kind of surging, but I wasn't towing at the time, and the vehicle was empty, so there was no weight in it either. I think it would be worse with more weight in, because I jacked the vehicle up, and it was the left-hand rear wheel bearing, and when the wheel bearing goes, as Jim will know, and most of you will know, that the brake disc kinks over to one side, and of course it then starts to rub on the caliper and on the brake pads, which causes a resistance. There's friction there, so every time that wheel bearing sort of kinks across and touches the brake pad, it's going to slow the vehicle down a little bit. That was my diagnostic on it. Obviously I've got to get that fixed, see how they get on with it, and if it's still got the same problem, then we'll have to dig deeper. The final drive felt fine. There was no problems with that, and the oil looked good too. It just been, well, I say just been serviced. It was serviced about 3 months ago, and there was no play in the bearing then. But with them working on the beach and putting it in the sea and stuff, it doesn't take long for them. Once the seal starts to fail and let the seawater in it, the bearing will quickly fail. Lepsudo Alacon. Hey Andy, just about to leave four-wheel driving. Oh my word. In Otika, near Danzi's Pass, but thought I might just swing by the live stream. Enjoy your holidays. Thank you very much, Lepsido, for joining us. I appreciate that, and obviously our time spent in Dunedin too. I haven't forgotten, we definitely will do something when I come down to the South Island next, for sure, if you're still up for that. Mike Bazanski, any progress on the GoKart project? Yes, hang on. I can probably just about work the camera over there. I'll show you. Right, 3, 2, 1. Yes, definitely nothing. Right, can you see... Oh, hang on. Can you see that steel up there behind the mudguard? Behind the front mudguard of the little DR200? Well, that's all the tubing that I picked up and some box section to make a jig to hold the frame. So I picked that up when I was in Auckland last week. Right, it's turning around again. There we go. So yes, we have got what we need now to make a start on that project. We've got the pipe bending machine and tube bending machine and all the tube. So yes, it can happen. Need to finish the work on the K2, on the CB750 K2 first. That is absolutely paramount. I've got to get that finished and out of the way. It's been dragging on for a long time, and I now have all the parts. So maybe, just maybe, I'll do a video today before I go inside. Although, to be honest, I just want to get a video edited up and get it on the channel. So maybe I'll do that on Tuesday when I come back from Auckland. I'll be back from Auckland Monday night. Now then, so there you go, Mike. Hopefully that's answered your question. We are one step closer. That tube I ordered about 6 weeks ago turned up, and I was rushing around Auckland trying to get everything picked up and done before I did the South Island run. So I was away for 3 weeks down there, and I just ran out of time. And I just said, look, I know you've cut it all ready for me. Just put it to one side. I'll pick it up as soon as I'm back in Auckland in a month's time. And she was like, this is Janine at North Shore Steel. Steel North Shore. Very helpful. I said, don't worry about it. It's all good. It's here for when you want it. So that was nice of them. Jim K, how in the world did they break the key off? First time I've come across that, to be honest, Jim. It did still work as an ignition. You could still start the vehicle and stuff. But as soon as I got there to move it and put it on the trailer, I was just like, seriously, how do you manage this? How do they do it? The key has broken off in the correct ignition barrel. It's not like they've put the wrong key in the wrong one because they've got 3 and snapped it off in the wrong barrel. It's actually snapped off in the right barrel. So begs belief, doesn't it? I don't know. Anyway, it's swapped out now. It's done. So what else? Done the bike, done the lawnmower, talked about Christmas, done the Christmas presents for the workshop. Connor K is in the house. Morning, Connor. Good to have you on board, sir. Click the like button. There you go. So if you've not clicked the like button yet and you're enjoying this, this live stream, then click the like. Why not? Let's get the numbers up. Yes, that's what I was going to talk about. Subs. I'd sort of expected to get my target, although it's a very loose target. I just like to hope, that you're going to get to a certain point by the end of each year. And we hit my sort of in my head target, which I wasn't worried about, to be honest. I wasn't, if it was more or less, if it was less, that's just the way it is. If it's more, fantastic. I set it about 60,000 subscribers, which is a hell of a lot when you think. And it's now at 61, almost 61,200, I think. So that's fantastic. And we're not at the end of the year yet. So maybe, just maybe by New Year's Eve, midnight, I don't know, it might, there's a possibility it might get to 62. It might just, I don't know. We'll wait and see. I think it might be a bit of a, how many days we've got left? We're on 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 30th. We've only got 4 days. Now, it might get to 61 and a half. Who knows? So, it's not going to be an overlong live stream today because I know we've all got things to do. But you've got any more questions for me while you've got my attention? I've just spotted your spelling there, Jim. It's the wrong break. I think. I didn't do very well in English, but I'm pretty sure it's the wrong break. So, yeah, K2 project. Looking forward to it, but it's going to be quite a lot of work to finish it all off and get that electronic ignition working and get it all set up. And then we've got to balance the carbs because I did get sent that really nice carb balancer as well, and that's still on the cards. And the guy hasn't hassled me at all. He sent me that through free of charge to use in the videos. And oh, Simon Raw just got in. Hi, lol. Hi, Simon. Welcome back. Mike Bazanski, thoughts on balancing beads in tires? What? Thoughts on balancing beads in tires instead of wheel weights for motorcycles? What the hell's a motorcycle? Or is that a typo? Motorcycles. Inside beads. Oh, motorcycles. I was just about to Google motorcycle. You can't call them motorcycles. They're motorcycles. It's only the rider. Well, it's not actually. It's usually car drivers, but anyway. Balancing on the inside of beads. Never done that before. I'm not aware that you can balance a wheel on the inside of the tyre. It's news to me. Is it possible? Oh, message rejected. Oh, Simon, you've had too much alcohol, have you? Hang in there, buddy. You'll be all right. Yeah, I mean, some bikes, it does look quite unsightly, doesn't it? And I mean, some of the smart cruisers, they don't like to have wheel weights showing at all. A few, but yeah, I've been pretty restricted on the old alcohol the last few days. I had a few ciders last night, and I am feeling it today, to be honest. But yeah, it's Christmas. That's what it's all about, isn't it? So, where next with the live stream? Where do you want to go with this? Ask me a question. Somebody, please. Oh, I know what to do. I can show you some tools that I bought. There's a good thing to go and look at. Let's go back in the workshop. Right. Turning you around. That should be safe. There we go. Right. Oh, almost safe. Right. So, where did I put them? I don't know. You can bear with me. I moved so much stuff around. Nope. That's all old stuff. Ah, yes, here we are. Look, right. So what did I get? Well, I bought myself. That's been my go-to hammer, that one, for a long time. Sorry about the crap camera work. So I decided to get the smaller size for hitting smaller things. And I went for the larger one, which is, there, look, 32 ounce. By the looks of it, the ball peen. The standard one, I've no idea because it's all, the sticker's gone, but it's a good one. And I used this one for the first time yesterday, which is really good. And that one is a 12 ounce. There you go, look. So we've got some hammers. Hammers are always good. So I decided to, is it going to shut now? Probably isn't going to shut. Let's give it a go. Oh, look at that, it does. Right. What else do we get? Nope, not that drawer. Yes, we've got some of these. So I've had the Allen key set for a while, the hex head. Very cool. I like these. But one thing I did notice on these is they've got the ball at the end, which is useful for some jobs, but not useful for other jobs, because it really restricts the amount of contact on the head, and it's much easier to chew things up. So it's really only any good for speed. But here we've got the hex, so the Torx ones, with the little hole in as well, the security hole. So I'm looking forward to using those. Been wanting a set of those for ages, so I bought myself a set of those. And anything in here? Nope, nothing new in there. Ah, here we are, look, right. So, oh, hang on, this is mechanics here. Oh, bear with me. Right, stick you down. Oh, I can't show that on camera because there's an ROV in the garden. Hang on, just turn you around. There we go. That view should be all right, I think. Right. What have we got? Oh my word. I'm just reading a note. Hang on. Okay. Oh, I mean, I'm always in trouble. But hey, we've got a bacon butty. That's all right, isn't it? And a fresh coffee. Right. So let's carry on. Where were we? Down here somewhere. Right, so I did decide to hit the bullet and got another set, but this time with the focus. Damn you, there we are, look, with the normal hex head on it. So I've got those now. I actually used that one yesterday doing some calipers. Very good. And oh, I got another hammer. I got an engineer's hammer. Look at this. So when I'm pretending to be an engineer, I can use this instead. So that's pretty cool. A 500 gram engineer's hammer. Very cool. Always wanted one of those. Got one of them. And I've got some T-spanners, well, T-socket things. Here, look. So I got, I don't know, I think 8 was the smallest, through to, I think 14 was the biggest one I got. Yeah, 14. So I got a few of those as well. They're not going to live in the drawer like that. They're going to go on a rack somewhere. But yeah, we got those. And I think, yes, that's it. So a few more tools for the tool cabinet to play with. Right, bacon butty time. There we go. Right. Jeez, it's so hard filming when there's things in the workshop that you can't actually see. Sorry, manufacturer. I didn't mean to flash up that white and blue bike. Pure mistake. My fault. I think we'll be okay. So yeah, going back to that actually, Alan was telling me in the office that he doesn't see a problem at all with me having that particular brand of vehicle as an ROV and for it to be in videos, but that's just the I need to get it written, so I'm working on it. So there you go. I got Ben gave me a tool. He gave me this. Now, have you ever seen one of these before? It's made by Cyclo, and it says on it actually Cyclo Tools on there, a bit small to read. And this is a tool for tightening up the nipples of spokes on a wheel. So it actually keys in. Obviously, there's different sizes of these, and it'll only fit certain ones, but it's large enough to fit motorcycles, I think. And it's a way of spinning up the nipples when you're relacing a wheel, just to get them sort of finger tight before you start to true the wheel. So quite a rare tool. You don't often come across this kind of stuff. It's had a bit of abuse. It's got a bit of a chunk missing out there. It is second hand. He came across it, but it should do the trick. So thank you, Ben. Really appreciate that. A little Christmas present, and that I'll find a home for that. I've got a drawer somewhere that's got all my sort of spokey spanners and bits and pieces in it, so it'll live in there if it'll fit. That's the plan. Now then, here we go. Simon Roll. How long did it take you to type that, Simon? Do you miss Coleman's mustard? I do. I like a bit of Coleman's mustard, to be honest. Mike Bazansky, magic less hammers. Yes, I know, my magic hammer's still hanging in there. Hang on. It's probably a bit grubby because I was using it yesterday. So yeah, probably gonna get covered in crap now. But look at that. It's had a very, very, very hard life. Even the copper end's getting really close to the end of its life now, but the hide end is, well, it's pretty much knackered, to be honest. So I need to buy some more ends for it, and I will. When I find a place in Auckland that sells those hammers, I'll buy a pair of new ends for it, and because they just thread in, I think, from memory. Although I haven't changed those for many years, if ever, to be honest. Connor K. Any opinions on synthetic oil in four-stroke engines? Been told that they are very good, but there are several steps for properly changing from regular oil. Ooh, Connor. Okay, you might know more than me about this then. I do know that basically the three different types of oil, you've got mineral, you've got semi-synthetic, and you've got fully synthetic. And performance engines pretty much always use fully synthetic. And the additives that are put into the semi and the fully synthetic tend to last a lot longer. This is what I've been told, and I'm no oil engineer. In fact, if Phil was here, he used to work for QA Oils. He might be able to tell us a bit more. Phil is one of my brothers. He lives in the UK at the moment. Sorry, no, he doesn't. Mum corrected me. He lives in, I think it's Antwerp, is where he lives. I haven't spoken to Phil for many years, unfortunately. But basically, if you go for semi, then it will last a lot longer. It retains its properties and its lubrication properties for longer. And, you know, fully synthetic really is an oil that you need to use in a high performance engine, if it's high compression or... But big singles don't like fully synthetic usually. Although saying that, the KTM 640 LC4 that I have, KTM stipulate fully synthetic oil for that. Whereas if you're running like an XT 660, they're a lot happier on semi-synthetic. So, you know, make up your own mind. Fully synthetic oil is a lot more expensive, obviously. And actually, the blue and white bike that you got a glimpse of, the WR450F, that's a big single, but it's a high performance, and that's fully synthetic oil. So, yeah, just depends really. But you wouldn't put fully synthetic oil in something like a cruiser. You know, they're not really built for that kind of stuff. Jim K, pie, no, bacon butty. There'll be even less work today now. Mike Bodansky. Wow, what a wife. Does she have a sister? She does, but she's married. James Webber. And actually, to be fair, out of the two, I picked the right one. Oh, there goes the old air compressor. James Webber. There was a good video on lacing and truing wheels on the Alan Millard website about a week ago. Alan's really, really clever. He's a phenomenally good motorcycle engineer. A lot of respect for that guy. Far more qualified than I will ever be. He knows a lot more about engines than I do. And I do watch some of his videos. I haven't watched one for a while, but I did get into watching a few of his videos. I thought they were very, very good. Very happy with those. I need to watch some more, actually. In fact, it would be quite nice just to sit down and watch videos from YouTube all day long, but again, I don't get a lot of time to do that kind of stuff. Oh, a bit chewy. So yeah, oils. That's how I understand it anyway. Is that the additives that they put into the semis and the fully synthetic last a lot longer. The oil retains its properties for longer, doesn't degrade as quick, and therefore, you know, causes less harm to the engine and stuff. But I mean, I'm sure Simon can step in and give us a lot more information on that. James Webber. Oh, we've done that one. He is a genius. He is a genius. I also work with a genius, a chap called Dave Cole. Now, Dave's a bit of a dark horse, I suppose you'd call him. He's in his younger years, he did a lot of racing, motorcycle racing here in New Zealand, and abroad actually as well. And he did extremely well. I mean, obviously he's not a world champion, but he did extremely well. And I remember he told me a little story. I'm sure Dave won't mind mentioning this. Told me a little story. He was in another country somewhere, one of the races. It was an international series that he was doing, and he was on an R6, I think it was, and there was an engine failure. There was a problem with the engine, which necessitated the whole engine being completely rebuilt, and they experienced the problem at the end of practice day, probably the Saturday, and the actual racing was on the Sunday. So they managed to borrow somebody's workshop, and Dave, being the rider and the mechanic, Dave completely stripped that engine and rebuilt it, and the bike was on the start line the following morning in good time, which the guy was knackered. He'd been riding all day. He had to rebuild that engine through the night, and then he was racing the next day. True testament to his, focus on the job and getting the job done. Top bloke. I'm sure if you Google Dave Cole, you'll be able to pick up all sorts of bits and pieces about his career and what he's done. But he helps me an awful lot at work, and he'll be surely missed when he decides to retire. Great bloke. Simon, the last Alan Millard is awesome. A lot of hand sanding on the crank case. When it comes to oil, it's well out of my field. Yeah, I mean, I know a little bit, but I don't know anything. Well, I should know a lot more, really, to be fair, I think. It's an area that I'd like to develop a little bit in my skill set. Jim K, did you receive my email about the ECUs? In actual fact, Jim, I have an apology to make, and to all of you. I think I mentioned last live stream, my S6 phone, this one, it died when I was down in Christchurch on the South Island trip, and it turned out I had to. I don't know if the crank snapped Simon. I can't remember. You could be right. I don't know what happened to it, but it involved a full rebuild. He did tell me, but I forget some. My memory's not as good as it used to be. Anyway, my phone died, and I had to do a factory, restart thing where it wipes everything off the hard drive. And since then, I've not been able to get my emails to work on my phone. I've basically forgotten the password, unfortunately. But I do have emails still working on the laptop. So let's have a little look, Jim, and see what you were saying about that. And maybe I can't talk about it on the live stream. I don't know yet. Let's find out. Okay, let's have a look. Search for Jim. There we go. Ooh, right. Hang on then. 2 from Jim. Hi, Andy. Hope you are well. Did you get your expenses done? I did. Every single one of them. All 91 receipts. I was so happy. Here's the situation. It's a 3-cylinder engine, 1049cc. Last year, my father diagnosed that number 2 cylinder was not firing. Replaced the ECU and problem solved. About 50 miles since replacement, machine is making the same noise. I put in the diag and told the ECU to fire each of the coils. Now it's not firing the number 3 cylinder. We still have the old ECU, so I swapped it back. Verified it would fire 3, not fire 2. What the hell? The ECU is only used in 2014-15. There are only ECUs in Japan, none in the USA. I have not done this, but I happen to have 2 more of these exact machines in for service. I don't think I should borrow the other for testing due to the fact that something may be causing the damage to happen. I don't know how I emailed USA support. I emailed USA support but no response. They are closed 24th to 5th. Thank you for any guidance. I think you're right, Jim. I think there is an underlying problem. Now, obviously, the ECU will ground the primary circuit to charge the primary winding for the current flow, and then it's going to release that when it wants a spark, basically. Those drivers in the ECU will be current dependent. So something's caused, I think, because you've had 2 fail, maybe, and the coils are the right spec and everything. So maybe, have you checked the charging on the vehicle? Also check your grounds, and yeah, check your grounds to the ECU on the wire, on the loom side. Make sure there's no resistance on that, and make sure the bike's not overcharging. I think that's the only 2. And make sure you've got the right spark plugs in there and the spark plug gaps set right. But it shouldn't be that dependent, They're usually pretty resilient ECUs, to be honest. That's all I can really say on that. But I think the likelihood of you getting, especially the brand we're talking about, which obviously gives it away, the ECUs don't normally fail, and to have the same failure, essentially, I know it's on a different cylinder, a different driver, different switch, inside, on 2 subsequent ECUs, I think there's a problem with the bike. I don't think it's a problem with ECU. There's something causing it to fail. Now, obviously, don't forget, you do get an induced voltage into the primary circuit when the field is collapsing. So potentially, if the current flow is too high, or if the voltage is too high, maybe that field is just too much and it's causing too much of a spike on the primary circuit, and that's what's causing the issue. I remember somebody was telling me years ago there was a similar problem. Okay, it wasn't ECU, it was a CDI, but there was a similar problem on the 350 ATVs, which was very intermittent, but it was enough to blow the CDI. So what I suggest, if you get your scope, put it on the primary, and you can do this because you've got other bikes in the workshop, the same stuff. get the waveform for the primary on your scope and measure what the induced voltage is, you know, on a good cylinder with one of your faulty ECUs, obviously, and do the same test. I would do it on all 3 cylinders, so then you can take the average on one of the customer bikes in the workshop. That way you're not swapping parts around, you're not going to cause any damage, just back probing, and then you can see, you'll be able to see if the induced voltage is much higher on the problem bike as opposed to what it should be on one of the known good bikes. That's where I would go, but you probably need a scope for doing that. Usually about 200 volts is what the induced voltage is from memory, but it does vary from bike to bike. Okay, that's enough on that one, Jim. If obviously, feel free to email me and we'll talk about it more if you like. Oh, come on, what's going on here? There we are. Right, let's do another search, Jim. We had another email from Jim, so bear with me. I know this is all very... Oh, here we go. Oh, easy one. Jim K, wishing you, Mrs. and family, a Merry Christmas. Thank you, Jim. I really appreciate that. I do. I appreciate you spending the time doing the emails. And I'll always try and help you where I can. And hopefully that's given you some insight into, you know, trying to find that fault. I'll be interested to find out what it is, but I do believe there is a fault on the bike. And definitely don't go swapping ECUs around. Talking of that, just broadening the whole subject of swapping ECUs from one vehicle to another, I have come across on more than one occasion people, and I've got to be very careful how I say this, people taking an ECU out of a different model, different year, same model, or even a different model ROV, and plugging it in and then trying to start the machine. And sometimes the machine will run, it'll fire up loads of fault codes, but it won't run very well, it'll misfire, whatever. And they've just assumed that because the actual physical plugs will connect to the ECU, that they should work fine. You know, there can be different maps in there, there can be different pin configurations as well, but they just don't take that into account as being a possibility. They just plug it in, oh, it runs okay on that ECU out of a, you know, whatever it is. It must be the ECU. 9 times out of 10, well, no, sorry, 1 time out of 100, it's an ECU fault. Normally there's something else in there. And I did have a problem with a 700 a while ago. I think we did discuss it on the live stream, where exactly that actually, ECU, or basically bike stopped. There was a fault code came on the dash which indicated there was an ECU fault. A new ECU was fitted. It ran for a few hours, failed again, exactly the same fault code. Turned out to be a fault because the bike, I know this now because the bike's still operating without any problems. So I've definitely fixed the fault. But I checked absolutely everything. I obviously couldn't get the bike running because I didn't have a new ECU for it. Checked absolutely everything on the bike. Everything was up to spec. And it turned out I replaced the ECU. So this was now the 3rd ECU to go in. Original first swap and then the 2nd swap. So a new ECU went in, but I also changed the dash as well at the same time. And it turned out that the signal wire to the ECU was being grounded in the dash. And that was what was causing the ECU to fail ultimately. So yeah, I didn't know for sure, and I couldn't even test things like charging rate because I couldn't get the bike to run. The ECU wouldn't even fire up the fuel pump. I could do it manually, but there was still no injector trigger, you know, injector actuation or spark, to be honest. So the ECU was definitely junk at that point. Oh, here we go. Look. Hang on a minute. It's got to go back. I ramble. Right. Jeff Maple. Hiya, Andy, lad. Morning, Jeff. Animal 79 the cat. Love the Makita cordless grinder repair vid. Oh, cheers, mate. It turned out pretty well, did that. I've got to do it again now, but it lasted for about a year before it failed again. It's somewhere in a box. Jeff Maple, big thumbs up. Simon Roll. Jim K, pin fitment on the plug maybe. Worth trying. Yeah, definitely worth looking at. Obviously, Jim, you've verified that the second ECU that you fitted would have definitely been the right ECU for the bike. So yeah, do double check the wiring on the pin on the plugs for sure. James Webber, Simon Roll. I watched that video of Alan Milliard where he made a 1600 V8 Kawasaki. Wow. Jeff Maple, a surge maybe. It was a surge that was causing the CDI to fail on the 350s. I remember that. A good friend of mine, Stu, down in Invercargill, was telling me about that story because that was way before my time doing this job. Jim Haynes. If coil drivers get burnt up, it's usually too much coil amp draw, like they're begin to short in the primary side. Some of the smaller engine ECUs don't have any current limiting capacity. So you might have well, yeah, I mean, again, it's done it on 2 different cylinders, 2 different coils. So maybe there was just a bad batch of coils went into that bike, but a few different avenues to check there, Jim. But again, you'll see that with the scope. So if you did the scope check to see what the induced voltage into the primary is, you'll see if it's significantly more than it is on the bikes that are known goods. And then you can dig deeper as to why. And it could well be because there's a fault with the coil, or coils in this case. If it is, I would definitely change all 3. Jeff Maple, we officially had a white Christmas. It snowed a bit in York. Wow. Down the shambles with some snow. James Webber, Jeff Maple, we have had 14 inches of snow over the past 2 days in Ontario. Well, you're just showing off now, aren't you? 14 inches. I must admit, when I was down in Queenstown a few weeks ago, you know, it's sort of summertime here in New Zealand, and there was snow still on some of the mountains. Not a lot, but there was still some snow there, and that was really weird to see this time of year. It did make it feel a bit more Christmassy, I must admit. Jeff Maple, Andy Mechanic, whereabouts do you hail from, lad? Well, originally, I was actually born in Kendal. I arrived a bit early, but I was whisked back to North Yorkshire very quickly. So I am through and through a Yorkshire lad. Lived in York, lived actually, believe it or not, in Wilberforce, outside York for the first few years that I can remember. And then we moved to a little place called Sheriff Hutton, which Richard III has a castle. There's not a lot of castle left, but that's where he had one of his castles. And then from there, I went to go and live up on the North Yorkshire moors when I was running my own business as an off-road driving centre. But yeah, York, I think, is what I would call my hometown. Jeff Maple. Aha, James, you're welcome to it, lad. Welcome to it, lol. Jeff Maple. It's bloody cold enough without this snow. James Webber. Shoveling the snow is the only exercise I get in the winter. Jim Haynes. Had an odd ECU on a Jeep. It didn't show one of the O2 sensors was plugged in. So it said a code immediately, but it was working. Tried to get it fixed, but a no-go. Had to get a remain. Had to get remanufactured. Had to get a remain. Had to get it fixed basically. Wow. Remanufactured. Last in the US to fix. Jeff Maple, Lancashire lad living near York. Ah, good man. Animal 79 the cat. Haha, Kendal. I'm from Barron Furnace. Oh, not far away. Jeff Maple, Market Wheaton. Not far from Wilberforce. It's such a small world, isn't it? It really is. Oh, good job, lads. So there you go. We've learned a bit more about coils today, and hopefully, Jim K, you've got a bit more direction on where to start looking. But I was sort of on the right path, wasn't I? Too much current. And you could also measure the current using your amp clamp as well, you know, on the scope, rather than just the voltage. Be an interesting one to have a go at, actually. I should jump in a plane now and come out to you, Jim, and give you a hand. Nuts. Barsden. Use a tar roofing torch to melt the snow. Easy peasy. Yeah, but won't it all turn to ice as soon as you stop all that water? Make it a bit slippy. It's a good sandwich. So, very limited to our taking the workshop today. I think we've covered everything. Oh, an hour and 21, so we're not far off finishing. Woohoo! Finish my sandwich, have a cigarette, and then we'll call it a day. Jim Haynes. This was actually the first ECU replaced in our shop in a few years. We only see a failure every few years. Chrysler ECUs are hard to come by for some years. Well, if they're hard to come by, what does that tell you? That maybe they fail a bit more often. I know Japanese ECUs just don't usually cause a problem at all. I did have a really weird one where, again, not giving you the brand away, could be any brand, obviously. Some of the dirt bikes have what they call a lean angle sensor, which basically will stop the engine if the bike falls over, or if you crash it, that kind of thing. But it's actually inside the ECU on some vehicles, rather than being a separate component out bolted to the frame somewhere. And we had this issue, and it doesn't come up as a separate component on when you scan it. As far as the scanner's concerned, it doesn't have one. It's just integral to the ECU, and it's just called the ECU. And there was an intermittent engine stall, and the lad that rode the bike did a lot of supercross, you know, where they do the jumps and that kind of stuff over all the air. And anyway, the bike, at a critical point, the engine stalled out. Now, I don't do that kind of riding, but when you watch them, they use the crank speed, the revolution of the crank, to control the pitch of the bike to get it lined up for landing. So if they need to, I don't know, if they need to lift the front of the bike, maybe they'll give it more power, more revs, and it should bring the bike up. Or if they need to bring the front end down, they'll roll off the gas, and that'll pull the front end down. I think I've got it right around. Not sure. I think so. Anyway, the engine stalled mid-air, which meant obviously that wasn't an option anymore, and he crashed, and he was actually really badly injured, was the poor lad. And I was asked to help diagnose what the problem was, and it was a difficult one because obviously somebody had been hurt, but that's what it turned out to be. The lean angle sensor inside the ECU was faulty. It had gone AWOL. It was playing up. So put a new ECU in it, bike fixed, and eventually lad fixed. You'd think really for bikes using that application, they really shouldn't have a lean angle sensor in them. I mean, that bike, they do full flips and all sorts of stuff, and the possibility of the lean angle sensor being triggered pretty high, isn't it? And that's going to cause the engine to stall. So not really ideal for that application, to be honest. Simon Roll. Oh, that's a lot of typing, Simon, for somebody in your state. The ECU has a triac. Oh my word, a triac in it. It takes a lot to overload them. I don't think you're looking for a bad earth or a loose contact. Okay. Good to know. Well, yeah, Jim, you've got lots of stuff to go at. The triac acts the same as a MOSFET that can handle more current. Our book can handle more current. Simon's a clever chap. He knows a lot more than I do. In actual fact, a few months, well, maybe about 6 weeks ago, the chap that used to do my job, Phil, was in the workshop helping out, doing some work because Dave was a bit under the pump. And as you know, I have 2 scopes, both the same, both Pico scopes, and one was loaned out for about 18 months to all the various dealers around New Zealand. It's not anymore, because the idea was that they could see the benefits of having a scope and then go and buy their own. Some of the dealers have now done that, but it's, you know, once the scope's been to the same dealership 3 or 4 times, you think, well, you know, it's no longer like a demo. It's starting to just get used as a loan scope every time they have a problem, and that wasn't the idea. So I brought that back in, and now I have that, and I actually keep it in the ute as my field scope. But Phil was on site, and for years I've been talking to Phil about using a scope and bits and pieces, and he said he didn't really have much experience in using the oscilloscope. So I lent him it. He's still got it at the moment. Hopefully he's had a good play around with it now to see, you know, the benefits of having one and what modern technology can give us as regards diagnostic power, which is great. But I'll have to get it gathered up again in the new year, because I'll need that when I'm back on the road. Bacon. Can't go wrong with bacon. I lost a big chunk of egg. So, here we go. Here's a good one for you. New Year's resolutions. What's your New Year's resolution? I'll tell you mine in a minute, once I've thought of one. I haven't done a New Year's resolution for years. Probably because I'm not very good at sticking at them. But I'll give it a go. Jeff Maple. Oh well, that's the last of the pigs in blankets, damn it. We didn't get pigs in blankets. Mrs. Mechanic forgot to do the pigs in blankets with the Christmas dinner. She was very apologetic. But it did mean that I could have a sausage sandwich yesterday, which was very nice. So it worked out to plan. Right. Bacon butty was on the outside, now on the inside. Thanks, Mrs. Mechanic. Very nice. And she does watch the live. In fact, she's probably sat there right now watching the live stream. Simon. Oh no, keep going back. Jeff Maple, haha. Jeff Maple. Oh, shame. I know, mate, honestly. Simon Roll. To do a half marathon under 2 hours this year. Half marathon under 2 hours, mate. That's going some. The best I ever did, and I know you're going to laugh, when I used to live, and it was the very first few videos that ever went out. We had a big barn type workshop, and we used to live just outside a little village called Aharoa, which was west of Puhoi, which is north of Auckland. So you can Google all this if you're interested. And there's a gravel road that runs from where we lived, which was 909 Aharoa Road, So you can Google Earth that, and you can actually see the shed and everything now. You know, it wasn't my house, so I just rented it. I used to run from there to Puhoi, and it was 12 kilometers, and the last 3 or 4 was on tarmac, but the rest was all gravel. I used to like running on gravel, it was cool. But there was a massive hill in the middle, really steep with lots of switchbacks. You know, it was that steep. It wasn't just straight up. It was, they'd actually put pretty tight corners in it to help the vehicles get up. And I got to the point I couldn't run all the way up the hill. I would have just died. I mean, I have asthma, so it wasn't good. But I did get to the point where I could run between every other telegraph pole, and then I'd sort of do like a fast walk to the next one. That was sort of my limit. But once I got to the top, man, I was away. And the best time I ever did that 12Ks in was 1 hour and 17 minutes. And I remember clicking through the 10K barrier in just a few seconds under an hour. Because there are a few more hills on the tarmac as well. So I must have slowed down quite a bit for that last little bit. But even so, I was actually really impressed by that time. 1 hour and 17 for 12Ks. For you to do a half marathon, which is what's that, 22 kilometers from memory? Something like that. To do that in under 2 hours, that is really going some, Simon. So good luck, mate. I hope you succeed. James Webber, too old for New Year resolutions. Machine NZ, hey Andy, compliments of the season. Same to you, Machine NZ. Good to have you on board this morning. And yeah, it's not been a bad turnout, to be fair. People do like to listen to Andy ramble for some reason. I still can't understand it, to be fair. James Webber, if I make it another year, that's good enough. That's almost like a motorcyclist talking, isn't it, really? We never quite know what's going to happen next. But James, yes, I sincerely hope that you do make it another year. Jim Haynes, my New Year's resolution is, as usual, not to make a New Year's resolution. But I do like the Procrastination Society that always puts theirs out on New Year's Eve the year after. I haven't even thought of one yet, to be fair. Simon Roll, my best is 2 hours 30. It's a big ask to get the time down, but that's my target. That's going to take a lot of training, Simon. It is, because like the faster you get, the harder it is to do better again. But hey, go for it. I used to do two 6K runs, so on a Tuesday morning and a Thursday morning. This is when I was teaching at Unitech, when I had a bit more time. I used to do a 6K run on a Tuesday morning, so I'd get up about 5:45, go and do that. And on a Thursday morning, same again. And then on a Sunday morning, obviously there were no live streams back then. On a Sunday morning, same sort of start time, nice and early. In actual fact, I remember some mornings in the winter, it was actually dark when I started the run, which was quite cool actually. It was weird because you'd see the sun rise as you're running and everything. It was quite nice to do. It was bloody cold. And the second, I'd end up in Puhoi, and then Mrs. Mechanic would have made it out of bed, and then she'd come and pick me up, which was good. So yeah, good luck with that, Simon. Keep me posted. I mean, I think I ended up stopping running because I got a pain in my left knee, and my right hip gave up as well. So that was sort of, you know, I was told to rest it and not to do any more running for a while, and then I moved house, and it just didn't work anymore. My job schedule didn't allow for me to, you know, to be at home at that time in the morning, and I was more of a morning runner, to be honest. I didn't like doing it on an evening. And the road, the last house before I moved down here, it was only a 1 kilometer road, and then it was straight out onto a main road. And I tried running down the main road once, and I thought, nah, I'm not doing this again. There's too many big trucks and stuff flying around. Far too dangerous. And they wouldn't give you any room. They just stayed on the road, and they were flicking past at no more than 12 inches away from me, from your shoulder, and nah, I couldn't do that. Jeff Marple, same here, James. Jim K, it's such a shame that our bodies get old and we can't keep up with us. I know. I was doing that service yesterday, and I had to kneel down a few times, and just getting up from the ground, it's like I'm only 48. I shouldn't be as knackered as I am. But I've asked a lot of this body over the years. It's, you know, so it's been worked very hard and it's served me very well. But I think it's starting to show some signs now that enough is enough, you know. James Webber, I have done 3,500 miles in... What? Oh, hang on, he's in a plane. I have done 3,500 miles in 7 hours and drunk 4 beers. You had to have been in a plane, James. You had to have been in a plane. So where did you fly to? 3,500 miles. Jeff Maple, tell me about it, Jim. I'm 70 now and aging sucks. I'm 48 and aging sucks. God. Boeing 747. Simon Roll, what are you doing working on Christmas Day? I know, I had to. Last cigarette. Not ever, but last one for the live stream. Oh, Zach, you've retracted your message. Try again, Zach. So who else? I know Jim worked on Christmas Day. Who else worked on Christmas Day? Never ending. And some more of you must have some New Year's resolutions. Maybe you just don't want to put them out there just yet. Maybe it's a bit too early. James Weber, Manchester to Toronto. Holy shit. Oh my word. AJ 44, as a 55-year-old truck driver, I'll do any marathon of any length as long as the bike has enough fuel. Agreed. Zach Coldwell, convert a 50cc to electric. That would be cool to see. Yeah. Here in New Zealand, I found out only in the last couple of months, but and I know I'm right on this. A 50cc petrol-powered scooter versus an equivalent power output electrically powered scooter. So not a hybrid, just battery powered. Here in New Zealand, it costs almost 4 times as much for the road registration, or road tax, we call it in England, for the electric scooter as it does the petrol one. Now that's a real disadvantage to somebody buying an initial vehicle, because chances are the electric one's going to be slightly more expensive anyway to buy if you're buying equivalent quality, but also to pay for the first year's road tax up front for that is going to be a much larger chunk of money than it will be for the petrol one. Also, for the petrol one, your costs are spread out because you're paying the tax with the fuel as you go along, rather than paying it all up front. And if you don't use the bike, you're not paying the tax. Whereas with the electric one, you've already paid the tax, whether the bike stays in the garage for the whole year or whether you use it or not. You know, it's still going to cost you. So I actually rang up the New Zealand government to question this. And I said, well, why is it so much more expensive for road registration or road tax for the electrically powered scooter as it is for the petrol powered one? And they said, oh, it's quite simple. We don't create any revenue from the fuel for the electric one as we do for the petrol. So we have to claw it back somehow. And I said, well, yeah, okay, I understand that, but you do get some tax from the fuel because they plug it into their electric at home and they charge it up, and they're paying tax on the electric that they're getting. And I said, yeah, but that's not enough. It's a lot less than what we get for the petrol. Okay. But also New Zealand promotes itself as being super environmentally friendly and proactive towards shifting to electric vehicles. But this is a hurdle. This is something which is going to put people off, as opposed to people thinking it's an affordable option. And they didn't have an answer for that. So it's weird. New Zealand does marketing is great for aren't we wonderful and looking after the planet. But in reality, when you see behind the curtains, so to speak, it's nowhere near as environmentally friendly as they make out. I mean, the warrant of fitness that we have here, there's no gas analyzing test. It doesn't exist. You know, as long as it's not churning out loads of smoke at half throttle, I think it is, then it's a pass. Crazy. Zach, done that one. Convert a 50cc to electric. That would be cool to see. It would be cool. Jeff Maple, retired 2012. Man, that was a long time ago. Roger Heaps, good morning, Andy. Yes, milking cows through. Geez, well, cows keep making milk, so somebody's got to do it, I suppose. Roger, did you get those 2 Ag 100s down to Rogers in Invercargill? I did mention it to Kevin. Mike Bazanski, the usual, drop a few pounds. Yeah, that would be nice, actually. I've definitely put a few more on during the COVID period, I think. Simon Roll, I went into the shed, looked at a bike that had broken down, that was dragged in, closed the door and got a cold cider. We'll look at it on Monday. See, that's dedication for you, Simon. You're making sure you're getting some of your own time. If it was me, I'm too inquisitive. I'd like to know what the problem was. At least diagnose the fault. I'd be in there and checking it out and working out what, my plan of attack for repair. Jeff Maple, electric bikes coming out now have faster. Oh, they do. Golly, it puts you to shame. You're at the traffic lights. You're on a normal bike, something, even, what was I on? It was a few years ago now. I was in Takapuna at some lights, and this bloody electric scooter, ring, off he went. It's instant torque, isn't it? It was so quick. I was mortified, to be honest. James Webber, $40 for motorcycle road tax here in Ontario, $120 for a car. That's so cheap. AJ 44, Andy, don't try and discuss logic with government officials. You'll only end up on medication. Do I try to understand it? I suppose maybe I do try and apply logic, but you're right. It's almost like one department doesn't speak to another. There isn't, a unified plan towards rolling out electric vehicles here in New Zealand, obviously, especially when it comes to motorcycles. And my other question was, is it the same increase pro rata for electric cars versus petrol cars? And if it isn't, then it's very, very unfair, isn't it? Because they're sort of targeting the motorcyclist again, or scooter rider in this case. I need to check. I need to go on their website and find that out. Nissan Leaf, I think, is all electric, isn't it? Simon Raw, it's compression. The turnover sound is like 24 volts. Oh, sounds pretty terminal. Looks like you've got a strip down ahead of you. Osman 471. My resolution is, after having a heart attack 2 years ago whilst working on one, is to get back working on cars and 4x4s again. Wow, heart attack. I can't imagine having a heart attack. Well, good to know you're still around, mate. Honestly, you've got to take it easy. That's not good at all. But it can happen to anybody at any age, can't it? Heart attacks. It's not just an old chap thing, is it? And there's me smoking. I should stop smoking. Could be a New Year's resolution. Could be. You might have to help me through it. Save me a bloody fortune, it would. Anyway, doesn't matter who you are, you're awesome. Stronger together, that's what it's all about, isn't it? So, I think we've run out of comments, run out of cigarettes. I've got a cold coffee. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. We are at the end of the live stream. Any last requests before I decide to head off? And I don't know. I've got to go and edit a video. I've got to stay focused. I've got to edit the video. The next video needs to be out on the channel. I have noticed that views have plummeted the last few weeks while I've been away. Jeff Maple, green cars are being pushed right now. They are not going to sell petrol or diesel cars in the UK after 2031. But I bet costs will jack up on electric after that. Absolutely. We saw that with LPG in the UK. First few years that was released, it was super cheap. The government even incentivized it, where they gave a subsidy towards getting your car converted. I remember a lot of the four-wheel drives and Range Rovers and stuff used to get converted to LPG, the big V8 engines. And then, you know, a few years down the line, there really wasn't much of a saving anymore using LPG, but there was definitely a power reduction. And you still had to, most of them, you had to start them on petrol to start off with and then switch them across once they'd warmed up. So it was a bit of a palaver and there wasn't really much of a saving. AJ44, my resolution is to go for a motorcycle ride with you when you come to Canada and visit your daughter. Don't quit. Everybody hates a quit. I think when it comes to smoking, it's not bad. Jim Haynes, governments basically want money and power. Of course they do. That's why they're the government. Without money and power, they're useless. Jim K, have a happy new year. Thank you, Jim. I will, most definitely. And you too, mate. Really appreciate all you've done for me this last year. Jeff Maple, yes. Roger Heaps, electric cars have no road user taxes. Well, that's right, because, you know, until next year, like diesel kilometers, you have to buy in New Zealand. Right, until next year. We'll be interested to see what cost they put on once it comes in. Wow, so they're going to charge road user charges on electric cars in New Zealand. I wasn't aware of that. So they're starting to get greedy. That's going to really bump, well, obviously depends on what they charge per kilometre, but that's going to potentially, I mean, it's going to be an additional cost for sure. That's interesting to know. Jim Haynes, it's mostly tax and spend and control. Rick Duncan, that's a new name, Rick Duncan. Other problem is we don't have the infrastructure for electric vehicles in the UK. I really don't think we have the infrastructure for electric vehicles in New Zealand either. There are, I mean, I've driven a lot of the roads here in New Zealand now, and it's not often you see a sign indicating a charge point's coming up. I did drive between Napier and Tao Pearl the other week, last week I think it was, I forget now. And there was 2 charge points along that road, and the road's about 130 kilometers, and there's one near the start and one about 40 k's from Taupo. There's another charge point. So they are starting to come in, but there's not that many around. There really isn't. They're going to have to really pull the finger out and get those sorted. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of stranded people around. Rick Duncan, rows of terraced housing. Where are we going to plug them in? Good point. Jeff Maple, true, Rick. They need to sort it out. Of course they do. You have to have the infrastructure to support people having the vehicles. John Nuttall, glad to see you have a fan behind you, lol. What? Oh, I do. Yes, a fan. Funny. I haven't used that for a while. And I can't use it when I'm filming because it makes too much noise. Simon Roll, so what did you get for Christmas? Oh, Simon, you missed out. Hang on then. So Mrs. Mechanic went shopping the other day. I gave her some pocket money for Christmas presents and stuff. And she got me a couple of signs for the workshop. She does like these old signs. She's got this one here, look. Dependable service, spark plugs. Pretty cool, eh? Mechanics on duty, or mechanic on duty, 32 cents. It's pretty old. I like that. I do like these old marketing pictures with the girls in. They look really good. Yeah, good choice, Mrs. Mechanic. I like that one. And of course, equally as good, and we should all have one of these, shouldn't we? Tool rules. Don't touch them. Don't borrow them. Don't move them. Don't even look at them. That's definitely going up. That's very cool. I like that. Thank you again, Mrs. Mechanic. I do appreciate those Christmas presents very much. Well, crew, we are way over time. I try and aim for about an hour and a half. It's an hour and 50 minutes near us, damn it. So we're all done. That's it. Thank you again for joining me on yet another one of my Sunday morning live streams, this time again from the workshop. And I'm not planning to be on the road for a while, so there'll be a lot more stuff being done and filmed in the workshop for the next few weeks before I go back to work, hopefully. So have a nice, well, I hope you had a good Christmas, and obviously have a good New Year's Eve. Enjoy yourselves, spend time with your families, and I will see you again The next live stream is going to be, there'll be one on Thursday, so on New Year's Eve, which I believe is our Thursday, 3 p.m. And it's going to be a short live stream, and it's only there to do the draw for the Teng tools and the forge gear and stuff, that prize pack for those that have gone out and supported the channel through buying merch and sent the pictures through on email. So I'll be doing that on 3 o'clock on New Year's Eve. And then again, there'll be the regular live stream on the Sunday morning at 8:30, assuming I can get out of bed in time. This morning's was 2 minutes late, so my sincere apologies. I didn't even get a chance to empty the whole workshop out. Okay, crew. Well, that's it. Thanks again for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. Simon Rawls says, smash the like button. You've still got time before I finish it to smash that like button. Thank you very much, Simon. Jeff Maple, Andy, they barely supply enough power for domestic use. How the hell are they going to supply mains for every car? Another good point. Power's got to come from somewhere, hasn't it? Jeff Maple, okay, Andy, take care, mate. You too, Jeff. Thank you very much for joining us. AJ44. Merry Christmas and a happy new, my brother from another mother. Absolutely. All right, AJ44. We'll see you all next time. Cheers, crew. Thank you. Over and out.